Welcome everybody. Today we're talking with Amy, who only eats raw salmon and loves cookies and cream ice cream. Her nickname is Ames. She looks like Julia Stiles and knows a lot of useless facts about Defense Department personnel policy. She moved to Alaska sight unseen, and today she's sharing about the great outdoors of Alaska. So welcome, Amy.
I think a correction is deserved. I don't only eat raw salmon. I only eat salmon when it's raw.
That's okay. I love raw salmon too. And I thought it was so cool that your nickname is Ames because Cindy and I are both from Iowa, and I grew up in Ames, Iowa, and I've never met anyone
there you go.
that as a nickname. So
well, good luck turning Amy into anything other than that nickname. So.
Right, exactly. So I just got to jump in. We're going to start the timer.
Yeah.
And how did you end up in Alaska, of all places?
Well, Alaska is called the last frontier, and it attracts people who are looking for a big change. So in 2016, my family and I were looking for a big change. We wanted to change our lives to be more focused on spending time outside. My husband is a combat veteran. He was experiencing a lot of trauma around that, and we needed a way to help him, and so we left the active duty Army. We literally packed up the station wagon and we moved up here to the great state of Alaska, where we've been since 2016.
Oh my God. That's amazing. What a great story. We didn't even expect that, Amy. So that's amazing. So can you tell us just a little bit about some of the differences of living in Alaska? I mean, it's still part of the continental United States, right? But it's so far away, and I'm sure life is very different than what you had before. So
yeah, so Alaska is very, very rural, just all of it. So Alaska has about 750,000 residents, which is just a fraction, for example, of the people who live in the Dallas metro area. Mm-hmm. So just for context, like not a lot of people. Right. So that's one of the big differences, is that things are just more spread out. There are big areas without anything. There's a lot of areas without any cell coverage. So if you're traveling here, you're going to go between cell towers and cross your fingers that the plan you have works. And everything is really focused on this outdoor lifestyle. Now that's something you'll find places like Colorado, places like Oregon, right? These places are very focused on spending time outside, but that's really the center of life here in Alaska. If it is the summertime and you expect someone to be available for literally anything that's not outside, you're wrong. So call me back, it's the summer. So with that in mind, I actually started my own little challenge in 2017 to see what would really happen to me if I spent 20 minutes outside every single day for a year. And that has pivoted into this Humans Outside 365 project, where I log all my time on Instagram, so you can see all of my shenanigans there. And then this podcast I do, Humans Outside Podcast.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So when people come to visit you, where do you take them, and where would you suggest they go?
Yeah. So this is a great question, because Alaska is humongous, and you aren't going to see the whole thing. You're just not. And it's so varied. So you're not even going to see all of the variations of it. So you really have to pick the thing that's important to you. Like, what do you want to see the most of? So when people come to Alaska, usually if they haven't considered that question, what they think they want to see is some really cool mountains and some dramatic, seascapes and that kind of thing. So I usually suggest that people actually head south of Anchorage, which is where people tend to sort of start, and go towards Seward, which is on the coast. It's about a 3-hour drive. You'll get just gorgeous views of mountains on the way there. There's lots of places to stop and do some really beginner-friendly hikes. And then you'll get to Seward, and you can book a ticket on one of the wildlife tours through the national park there, Kenai Fjords National Park. And you can go out and you can see otters and seals and whales and puffins and just like the whole kit and caboodle of sea life here in Alaska. And then while you're down there, if hiking is your thing, you can go to the other part of the park, which will take you up past the Harding Glacier and to the Harding Ice Field, which is just this, so fun facts about glaciers. Glaciers come down the mountains, right? And there's a variety of categories, but they're fed by ice fields, which are sort of like at the top of the mountain above where you normally see. And so you can actually hike up there. It's a pretty aggressive hike, and see something that no one else really sees. And it's an incredible experience.
Wow.
Oh my God. Now, I mean, I've always, Alaska's on my list, but you make it even more appealing. And especially that vastness of not being able to see all of it, right? It's so big. And so I'm sure it's diverse, right? Just from one end to the other of the spectrum.
It's the same mistake that people make when you live if you live in the Northeast and you think you're going to drive through California in a day.
Right.
Same concept. Like, you really can't go to Disneyland and San Francisco in the same day. You just can't.
No.
Right? No. But if you live in New Jersey and that's all you've ever experienced is driving through the Northeast corridor, why wouldn't you be able to do that? Right. So it's the same kind of general concept. Like, it's just everything's just too far apart. So if people are going to come to Anchorage and think they're going to go down to the coast and then also go to Denali National Park, you're looking at 3 hours in one direction and 5.5 in the other.
And that's a whole day. Yeah.
That's a whole day of just in the car.
Just in the car.
Yeah.
So you really have to pick your battles here, but it's a great reason to make an extended trip. Also, it's a really long flight, like really long. It's 3.5 hour flight from Seattle to get here now, and you have to get to Seattle first. So if you're going to come up here, like, make it worth your time, spend a week or two.
Yeah, or just move there and then check it out.
And you know what? Like, have I seen everything here? No, I have not. Like, at all. I spend a humongous amount of time pursuing new adventures in Alaska.
Ah, my God, it's beautiful. So I'm going to pick on the salmon question. So you don't eat salmon except for raw, but what else is about the food? I'm sure there's differences in different food that you didn't even know you liked until you got to Alaska. So tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So Alaska is one of these unique places with a lot of hunting. Okay, so fun facts about hunting: you are not allowed to sell what you hunt. You have to have a commercial license. So it is illegal to sell moose meat. It is illegal to sell bear meat. It is illegal to sell caribou hunted in Alaska.
Right.
Okay.
It's illegal to sell muskox, which is another, sort of type game meat. Okay. So you can't go to a restaurant and buy this. You got to be invited over to someone's house, or you got to hunt it yourself, or maybe they pass it to you because they had too much.
Right.
So I had never tried moose meat, and I had never tried muskox because
who would know?
Both those things are delicious. They have a very unique flavor. And I had never tried halibut, which is another great thing in Alaska.
Wow. Thank you. We hit our 7 minutes. Gosh. We had so many more questions for you, Amy.
I know we did. We had so many more questions. Really quick, what's the next place you want to visit? Because that's probably the shortest question we have.
Yeah, so the other thing about Alaska is that there's not roads to everywhere. You have to get in a plane or a boat.
Okay.
And so on my bucket list is absolutely heading further into Southeast, so closer towards the rest of the U.S., and hitting up some of these areas of Alaska that you really have to fly to or to get to. I've never been there. I've never been to our state capital, Juneau, places like that.
Okay.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Wonderful.
Oh, it was so exciting. And I had so many more questions too. So
and we should do this again sometime.
I know.
We are.
Yeah, we're going to have to. We'll have another Alaska episode because I absolutely think it's amazing. So that's our 7 minutes. Thank you, Amy, for sharing your story, even though it was short. And we have a new question and answer series, everybody. So if you've got a question, find the link here in our description and travel with us with these real stories from real people. Thanks.
Thanks, Amy.
Thanks so much for having me.